Hey, what's up, TruExperience Nation? It's your boy, Richie McCaney. If you're new around here, welcome. Thank you so much for tuning in. You are very much appreciated. Guys, our mission is simple. It is to help you learn how to experience your best life. Much like I'm trying to learn how to experience mine. It's just, it's been a roller coaster of a ride for me and my wife and all the things we've gone through and the ups and the downs. And it's taken a lot of, interpersonal development, a lot of book reading, a lot of mentorship, and just a lot of some trial and error and things like that. And the things that we've learned and the things that we have actually been able to overcome, put ourselves in a better state of mind mentally and physically and all these things, I'm sharing back. And I enjoy doing it. It allows it for me to be able to stick, and it's continuing to work on mine, right? To work on myself. Some of this stuff is repeats of other things, but I've learned that when you hear stuff in different stages of your life, it applies differently to that stage, and so you're constantly evolving. And so I always find value in this stuff, even though I've heard a lot of these things before. It always allows me to look at it in a new light. And so today we have a real short one, and we're talking about 30 Days to a Better You by Tiffany Malott. And it's about never looking back. We've talked a lot about, letting things hold you down and weigh you down in negativity, and sometimes we spend too much time looking back. Now, I want to clarify, and here it says, don't look back. Some people say never look back, all eyes forward, 100% focus. I don't agree with that. I know there's a place for, focus, laser focus, eye forward and stuff, but lessons can be learned from the past, whether they're positive or negative, right? It's important to be able to, if it wasn't important, we wouldn't even be programmed to be able to remember that stuff. Like, that's where lessons are learned. That's what experience, about true experience, man. The things I know now and I'm implementing now is because of the experiences I had behind me. And so sometimes I need to check my rear view mirror and look back and not repeat some of the same mistakes, or figure out how to get the good things that I had to get that back. But notice how I said don't spend too much time. Some folks spend so much time living back in the past, they're still living in the past. And when you're looking back that much, man, you can't see forward, let alone being able to walk forward. What are we trying to do? Progress. We're always constantly looking to evolve and see progression, and that's moving forward. And you can't move forward when you're constantly looking back, okay? At least not at the same pace. Of course, you can walk forward and look back at the same time, but not at the same pace, not with the same clarity, not with the same focus. And so while it's okay to take a stop, self-check, check back, look back, remember something good, and keep rolling forward. Do you look back so much when you think of the good old days? Like, are the good old days your best days? I know some folks, man. I got a buddy of mine. I went and visited him not that long ago, and I saw sadness in his eyes, man, and his body language when I was like, man, how's things going? And we were just talking about some of the struggles he was going through, and somehow we ain't talked to him in a while. We reminisced, talked back about high school, and he was like, man, those were the best days. Like, those were just the good old days, man. I'd give anything to go back. And that just, I don't know how that affects you. I don't know when you hear somebody say, man, I'd give anything to go back to those days. That makes me very sad when I hear that. Like, I could tell his life was in such a state. It didn't look like he had like any hope or real aspirations, that he just wished he could go back when things were better for him. And that was high school. Bro, like high school, your best times? I'm gonna be honest. I had fun in freaking primary, elementary, junior high, high school, college for the short stint that I did before I dropped out. And I've always appreciated the moment and the past. And I've always kept the definitely hard times. Definitely hard times for sure in the past, but they just made me sad. When somebody's in a spot where when they're looking back, they wish they could go back because that was when they had joy in their life. One big problem with that is when you're like that, does that mean you're not allowed to have joy in the future? Are you just waiting for life to happen to you, or are you making life happen for you? Obviously, the other side of that is looking for the pain. Lessons can be learned from the pain in the past. But when you live there, when you focus on the pain in the past, it makes your future very bleak, because you think you can't succeed because of what's weighing you back. I can't succeed because of this problem. the future looks bleak any way you look at it. You look back in the past and it was so good, the future looks bleak because it can never match up with what you used to do. And so you can look back, but it's a look back. It's a glance back. It's a let's reflect, which is, we've already talked about the importance of reflection. It's a reflect back and then it's back front and it's like, let's keep it moving. I think it's very important to be grateful for where you're at. And there's this, I've been fortunate enough where I've always naturally just kind of had the optimistic glass half full, like look at the bright side of the thing. Every cloud has a silver lining type mentality. I feel like that's something my mom just kind of instilled on me organically. It's not like we had to talk about it. I've been very fortunate in that because I can have a down moment and be down and be upset, and I can turn myself around extremely fast by simply sitting back. And this is something y'all might need to practice. Sitting back and thinking about how grateful you are for the situation you're currently in, or for some of the things you can be grateful for. And it can be tiny. And when you start focusing on the things you're grateful for and happy for that, maybe you didn't have several months ago, or that somebody else doesn't have or would die to be in your position, it makes it harder for you to be able to complain. And you always hear, and we're going to talk about this ad nauseum on this page and this channel, because I don't care where you go, you're talking about experiencing a better life and having a better being on the end. Like, gratitude is, you're not going to get away from it. You're not going to go to anybody that's not going to talk about gratitude. It's that powerful because it's about fixing your state of mind. And everybody goes through these bad days, these funks, these, like little, I don't like using the word depression because that's a real clinical thing. I kind of picked up from Rachel Hollis since she's experienced it. And she says unhappy. So I'm not going to use the word depressed, but we go through moments where we're unhappy. And one way to get out of that is to just sit back and think about all the good things that you've had happen and all the things you got going on good in your life right now. And it's easier to do that when you're not constantly looking back in the past. Appreciate the present. Focus on the future. One way to appreciate the present is to live every moment to the fullest. Try your best to live every moment and everything that you do to its fullest extent and try to find pleasure in that. I heard a quote because we're at the time of me recording this. So you're good. At the time of recording this, I'm at an event in Orlando, and I heard Angel Fletcher said it, and I think she got it from somewhere. Who knows where these things come from, but it makes sense. And it is, how you show up in anything is how you show up in everything. And there's just some real truth to that, man. How you show up with your kids and your family is how you show up at your job, and how you show up at your job is how you show up at the ball field and practices, or how you show up in other areas of your life and your business. And I think there's something to said about that. And so when you think about how I show up if I'm late to this, you got some people that are just habitually late. They're just late. It doesn't matter what it is, where it's going. Their own birthday party, they late. I've been in that category before. But when somebody's always late, that's how they show up. And I don't want to show up in my business. I don't want to show up in my family. I don't want to show up going to the movies less than giving my fullest and being appreciative and aware of the situation. Like living in the moment. Man, there's just something raw and exciting about living a true experience by being in the moment, not dulled down by the past or so hopeful for the future that you can't appreciate the present. And living in the moment is one of those things, and I think it's something everybody should strive to do, and just sit back and take a deep breath and look around and think, I'm good. If you're watching this video, you're good. You got access to internet, you got a phone, you got a computer, you got electricity. Somebody's sleeping on the street right now. Doesn't have access to even to this or anything like that. And so if you're watching this, surely you're in a position where you can at least find something to be thankful for, even if it's the very life you're breathing right now. So guys, thank you so much for that. I just I like this type of talk. There's a lot of people, and at this event I see a lot of pain. A lot of people kind of overcoming barriers and breaking out in the first time, just sharing some very deep struggles with some of the things they go to. And I know there's a lot of pain out in the world, and I want people to be able to control as much of that as they can, and accept the things that's already happened, because agree, they can't be changed. No matter how devastating the things in the past, they can't be changed. You know, I'm about to hit you with some graffiti up in here from the Lion King. Doesn't matter, it's in the past. There's truth to that. Learn, reflect, but it can't be changed. Accept the fact that it can't be changed, and then figure out how to appreciate this moment and move forward in the future. So guys, thank y'all so much for watching. I hope you like this. You already know what it is. Show your boy some love. If you're on the Facebook page, hit the like, and obviously if you're on YouTube, subscribe, that whole deal. Because we do drop a video every single day. I enjoy doing it. I feel like I'm getting more into a knack the longer that this goes on, and so this is something that I'm just going to keep doing, and I'm going to keep growing. And so I hope that you want to go along for that experience with me. And if you do, awesome. And if not, awesome, man. Find your path. So until tomorrow, I'm out.